Before we get into this too far, I want to do some explaining about materials in Unreal Engine. So if we go to our content, we'll go to our MS presets. I want to talk about master materials. So in Unreal Engine, every material that's applied to an object, so we'll take this object for example, we have our static mesh here, but we have our material right here, okay? And that's what's giving us all this texture and color information that's on our asset. The way Unreal Engine works is if you go into your material here, we have all these settings which are set up in our master material. So every material has a parent material in Unreal Engine, okay? When you're dealing with Quixel Megascans, any asset that you import from Quixel already has a parent material that's automatically imported with it, okay? And when you import assets from Quixel, they're all linked to the same master material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that original master material right here. So if you import with displacement, you're going to import this default material displacement. If you don't import with displacement, then you're just going to import this default material. And that is set as the parent for every single Quixel object that you import based on whether you import with or without displacement. If I go into this displacement material, so if I go into this material, this is our master material, and this is where we get all of our settings. So there's a big difference between a master material and a material instance. So the materials that are applied to objects that are imported from Quixel are all instances, okay? So this is a material instance right here. As you can see, I've labeled it as instance. Just to show you what that means exactly, I'm just going to take this default material and I'm going to create a material instance, which you can do at any time, okay? Now, if I go into this material, now we don't have that whole series of nodes and settings and everything because this material only has the attributes and parameters that you can adjust based on your master material settings, okay? So you set up the parameters and everything that you can adjust in here in your master material, and then you can modify those parameters in your material instance. And that's what allows us to control the individual parameters of each material that are based on our master material. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for you guys. So basically what we're doing here is, in our master material, we have our tiling. So that's a setting that we can set up in here, as you can see. So you can see in here we have our tiling, and that comes from this node in our master material. And then we have our textures here. So this is a texture parameter. This isn't like a set texture. This basically is telling us, just ignore this image right here. This really means nothing. This is an empty texture slot, okay? What it's doing is our master material is telling us that we should have an empty slot for our albedo, metalness, roughness, normal, detail normal, and displacement in our material instance that we can then fill. Okay, so if we go down here, you can see our texture maps. We have middleness, roughness, normal, detail normal, displacement, and albedo, and those are all empty slots, and that's coming from us telling Unreal in our master material that we should have empty slots that we can fill in for all of these parameters, okay? And then we take that, we drag it into our adjustments, and then we can make our map adjustments, which are all located up here. We can manipulate our landscape, the tiling of things, the specular, all of our adjustments for the different maps that we've imported, our albedo tint, our metallic controls, specular controls, roughness, normal, and displacement controls. That's coming from here. So that is telling us that we can modify all those things. We're taking the result of that, putting it into our displacement, which is grabbing our height from our displacement map. Then that is coming out here into our material attributes. And we can see that is just the end result of our material. So this master material is giving us the option to change all of these settings in our material instance. So just to kind of bridge that between where we're at here in Quixel, when you're using a Quixel Megascans asset, which I'll show you. So if we go into our material instance, when we import an asset from Quixel, it comes in here and it already has these texture slots filled up. Our parent material is this default material, which I just showed you guys. And if we go into this, we can see now this is our parent material, which is telling us to have those texture slots, those adjustments, and our output, and the tiling as well. So that's all these settings in here. So that's how that's set up. If you modify the master material, you're going to give yourself, say, for example, you add a new parameter. That new parameter is going to show up in all the material instances that reference your master material.